Everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here. We're going to spend the next three segments talking with the insurance commissioner of the state of Louisiana. That's Mr. Jim Donelon, as we, of course, we're in the middle of hurricane season. And one of the biggest things that is on everybody's mind here is not just hurricanes this time of year. It is insurance and whether you can insure your homes. And that includes homeowners insurance, whether your insurance company is going to still be around. And we'll also talk about a little risk rating 2.0. We'll do it all with the commissioner, Mr. Jim Donelon. So thanks so much for being with us. I know this is a busy time of the year, but what are the challenges in the insurance market as we go right now in Louisiana?
Oh, many. And they are affordability and availability. And that's our job as insurance regulators, is to make insurance both affordable and available. And we're in a crisis, a challenging market, not unlike what followed Katrina and Rita in 2005, when we had 1 million claims filed, resulting in $26.6 billion being paid to policyholders for those million claims. And that doesn't include the $16 billion that the National Flood Insurance Program paid for insured flood damaged property by the federal flood program. So we're struggling with the recovery from Laura, Delta, Zeta, and Ida in 2020 and 2021, two horrific back-to-back years with the two most powerful hurricanes to make landfall in our state in anyone's lifetime who's lived in our state. The Weather Service says they're second with 150-mile-an-hour winds to the all-time record storm in 1856, which brought to the last island 156 mile per hour winds. I asked the weather folks who was around to record those wind totals in 1856, and they say no one, and base it on their methods of calculation.
Right.
Needless to say, 150 is equivalent to 156, and we had two of those, one in Laura in Lake Charles, and a year and a day later in Port Fourchon in South Lafourche Parish, doing devastating damage in the southeast corner of our state. The combination of those four hurricanes generating 800,000 claims, resulting in $23 billion of paid losses, and ultimately having a chilling effect on the insurance market, both affordability as well as availability of coverage.
Yeah, well, you don't have to tell us about Ida. We know all too well, but that is, as you drive around, there's still people in the midst of recovery now. It seems like the insurance companies are not just targeting Louisiana. We see the same thing in California, Florida, Texas, probably Alabama, Mississippi as well. Is it just an industry-wide trend right now that they're trying to get out of those areas where they have to write those kind of policies?
Well, I wouldn't say they're trying to get out of those states. Those are big, powerful economic kingpins in our nation's economy: Florida, Texas, California. What they're trying to do, I think, is balance their exposure and reduce the amount of exposure they have in any one concentrated area, like hurricane exposure in Florida and Louisiana, unfortunately, with wildfire exposure in California. They're trying, I believe, to spread their risk across the nation in a more evenly balanced way, if I had to guess. They don't tell me why they pull out of those other states, but watching it as I have, of course, it seems to me that they wouldn't be walking away from the business that is so available in those large states if it wasn't that they were trying to reduce their exposure and maybe further dilute it or spread it across a broader base.
Sure. Yeah, as we look forward to that our economy, is there any chance that we're going to be able to, look, anybody trying to sell a house around this area or move into the area, that's one of the biggest concerns, along with interest rates right now, is the cost of insurance. That's what everybody's looking at right now. Are we looking for more of the same, more rates as we go forward?
Well, we have seen rate increases in the aftermath, but let me go back to Laura. For the 5 years prior to Laura, the average homeowner's rate increase statewide was only 1% per year for each of those 5 years. Laura generated a 2021 rate increase of just 6%, driven primarily by the cost of reinsurance that those small regional carriers have to buy to protect themselves as they take on the risk, the coastal exposure that our state brings to a insurer's book of business. They have to lay off the bulk of that exposure to reinsurers located, 2/3 of that capacity, located offshore from the U.S. in places like Bermuda, London, Zurich, Toronto, etc. And as they do that, those costs of reinsurance and increasing costs of reinsurance get passed on in rate filings to policyholders. So year after Laura, only a 6% rate increase. Year after Ida, an 18% statewide rate increase in 2022. This year, as we go through this year, reinsurance rates are still increasing to the point where citizens came to me in December asking for, and I have no choice but to approve, a 63% rate increase because their cost of reinsurance went up, justifying that amount of rate increase.
Okay, we'll take a break right there. And when we come back, a couple of great programs, though, the fortified and the incentive programs. We'll talk about that next, right here on Bayou Time.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Alford and Associates for all of your insurance needs. CIS, Cardiovascular Institute of the South, the highest quality cardiovascular care available. Barker Honda, the Barker family tradition of quality.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here, spending a little time with Jim Donelon, of course, the Louisiana Commissioner of Insurance. I was looking at your byline to get personal a little bit. You've been in Baton Rouge for 41 years as a representative, and then became the insurance commissioner. You took that job 3 months after Katrina, which I found a little amazing. So that was under fire to start off like that, right, Jim?
No question about it. And frankly, up until Laura 3 years ago, I was very proud of our recovery in the aftermath of Katrina and Rita, because we had really recovered our property insurance market to the point where there was savings to be had, competition was flourishing, and then along comes a comparable to Katrina Rita experience in 20 and 21, almost identical in the impact on our insurance market.
Yeah, that's crazy. Look, hey, it's hot outside, but I'll take this El Nino anytime than no storms bubbling up, right? So if they keep blowing them into the Atlantic, that is great. We talked a little bit before we went to the break, a little bit about there's two programs that are trying to help out, and I think you've said they're helping a little bit. The Fortified program and the incentive program. Can you talk a little bit about those programs and how they're helping out with insurance?
And let me start with incentive because it's underway already. We went to the legislature in a special session that the governor and the legislative leadership was kind enough to call just before the regular session started. And the question asked was, well, can't we wait another month to do it in a regular session? And two reasons I gave for not waiting. One is people are hurting so badly. Citizens has now 138,000 policyholders. At that time, they had 120,000. So that 10,000 people each month at their renewal date for those policyholders were being hit with a 63% rate increase. Thousands, I dare say, don't have the numbers to document it, but I dare say thousands were turning in the keys to their home because they couldn't afford the cost of insurance, inflation, interest rates, the entirety of all of the challenges we face, in particular in the coastal parts of our state. So the legislature responded almost unanimously across party lines and under the leadership of a bill sponsored by Houma's own Chairman Z. Zarang, who chairs the Appropriations Committee and handled the legislation to get $45 million of money put into a fund to give to companies that would agree to come write property insurance in our state, commercial as well as residential, and do so with grants awarded by the state. The grant money, $45 million, would be doled out, it was doled out to 8 companies with grant amounts ranging from $2 to $10 million. If one got $10 million, they had to put up additional capital into their company of $10 million. That combination then had to be written in the amount of that combination in new premium twice the amount of grant combined with matching funds. So $40 million of new premium had to be written. And we are now concluded the 3rd month of that program. And through the first 2, I haven't seen the reports that were due yesterday. I haven't seen those yet, but the reports we got for the first 2 months said 17,000 policies were written in Louisiana by those incentive companies that qualify for them to earn and get to keep that grant money that they receive. They have to write, as I said, twice the amount of the grant plus the match and stay on that coverage for a minimum of 5 years. So 17,000 policies is a good start to that program, and we're hopeful that it will continue to grow. The 3 most challenged parishes in the state, Jefferson, Orleans, and St. Tammany, saw about 8,000 of those 17,000 policies written. The next 2 most written parishes with the most written policies were St. Charles and Terrebonne Parish, as you would expect in the aftermath of Ida.
Yeah, so those are real eye-opening. At least 17,000 people off of Citizens and now into private insurance, which will help out. And if those numbers continue, that would be, I guess, what you're looking for. The Fortified program, that's to help strengthen your home?
It is. Copied exactly from from Alabama. And I neglected to say with the incentive program, it was copied from what we did under Governor Blanco's leadership after Katrina and Rita, that worked very well in the aftermath of those 2 horrific hurricanes, to the extent of getting 40,000 policies out of Citizens in the first year after that program was in place. For Fortified, we're copying what has been in place in Alabama for 4 years, giving out grants to homeowners who are willing to put a new roof on their home, an existing home, to the Fortified standards and be inspected and done by certified prior approved contractors, roofing contractors, and evaluators or inspectors, in effect, who can monitor the construction to see to it that it's being done. With this Fortified, we also passed a bill in the last session to require every company to file a rate discount that they will give to anyone who takes the additional expense and time to upgrade their roof or to build new to the Fortified standards, which are standards that are in place in North Carolina, Alabama, and now in Louisiana, that are designed and monitored by the IBHS, the Institute of Building and Home Safety, the Insurance Institute for Building and Home Safety.
That's 2 great programs. We'll take one more break. Back from the insurance commissioner right after this.
Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health Systems, modern technology, and timeless caring. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Everybody, welcome back to Bayou Time. Harry McCullough here, spending some time with Jim Donelon, Commissioner of Insurance for the state of Louisiana, in his last term. 5 terms is enough, right? 18 years. You're coming to us from your home in Metairie, and so any reason you just want to relax for a little while and not have to deal with all this insurance stuff, Jim?
Well, actually, there were a number of reasons, and honestly, one of them was getting us through this crisis is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And doing a statewide campaign at the same time was truly not feasible. Add to that the fact that I had to go to the legislature and win bipartisan support from the governor of the opposite party, from the legislature of both bodies, House and Senate, and again, both parties, to get the help that we so desperately need to get through this crisis. And so the combination of those things, not to mention, I'm 78 years old and been doing this or the equivalent as chairman of the House Insurance Committee before coming to the department for a long time. And so New York Life would say I'm gonna live about 5 more years. I feel great. I'm otherwise healthy, but I did want to see what else there was out there.
Yeah, no doubt.
To do.
Yeah, you started as a House rep in 1982, so yeah, you've been putting into public service for a long time. So, so we appreciate that. So,
thank you.
So, what do you think as we go into this hurricane season? Are we prepared? Any less tips or anything that we need to know about as we head in insurance wise into this season?
Absolutely. And the first thing I want to mention is as we come up to Labor Day weekend, August 29th and the days after that, I'm reminded that 3 years ago, Hurricane Laura made landfall that weekend. And 2 years ago, Hurricane Ida did the same thing a day after the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Laura. What that means is if you still haven't resolved your claim with your insurance company, you must file suit before August 29th, the 2-year anniversary of that hurricane. So, number one, get your lawsuit filed or settle your claim between now and August 29th. Number two, yes, be prepared. I have a message that I take around the state at the beginning of hurricane season, and that is be aware that you probably have, almost everyone does, a named storm or hurricane deductible. A third of those deductibles in our state are 5%. That's not 5% of your damage. It's 5% of your insured value. So that if your home is insured for a replacement cost of $200,000, your deductible for a hurricane or named storm damage caused to your home by such a storm, your deductible is $10,000 out of pocket before your coverage kicks in. Number two, get with your agent, go over all your coverages, know what you have coverage for and what you might need more coverage for during that review. Number three, buy flood insurance. Unfortunately, in Terrebonne Parish, only 27% of the homes are insured for flood. In Lafourche Parish, it's 26%. Right over 11,000 policies in each of those parishes. Know that the 2016 flooding events in the Baton Rouge metropolitan area, the Lafayette metropolitan area, the average payment for flood insured property was $92,000. For those who got a grant from FEMA for their damage because they were uninsured, the grant was only $9,000. That's the difference. Now the federal government comes in, FEMA, they give you a SBA loan, but you get to put your property back, but you're then again underwater financially, and you really don't, you're left with no equity in your biggest asset, which is your own home. So get flood insurance. It's still, even with risk rating 2.0, the best insurance by any property owner in our state can make. And finally, when ordered or voluntarily evacuating, take your insurance papers with you. Know the phone number for your agent or for your company if you're insured by a direct writer, and start the claims process sooner rather than later. The sooner you get a claim filed, the sooner you get an adjuster, the sooner you get a contractor, a more reputable local person who comes with references and insurance, and not a storm chaser taking advantage of folks, as happens in the aftermath of every catastrophe.
Yeah, we know all too much about that. But about 30 seconds to go, excuse me, the lawsuit that Jeff Landry filed against FEMA, do you think that's supposed to come up? And I guess the judge gave 2 weeks, right? That's coming up soon, right? We're going to find out about that?
And I think there's 10 other states that have joined with us in that lawsuit. And it's a wide variety of states up and down the Atlantic coast and all around the Gulf Coast. There is bipartisan support. We benefited the last time after for the reauthorization in the aftermath of Biggert Waters by Superstorm Sandy,
right,
bringing to our side of the flood insurance issue the northeast corner that was impacted by Sandy.
Right. Well, Commissioner, thank you so much. It was very enlightening. We appreciate it, and enjoy retirement. We appreciate your service for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Glad
All right.
to be with you.
All right. We'll be right back with more Bite Time after this.